Hey guys, welcome to AlphaSheets. I'm going to walk you through a demo here of how you can use AlphaSheets to iterate to impact faster, get concepts to production faster, and ultimately combine the Excel world with the Python world and bridge that gap between the technical analysts who can use Python or SQL and the business leaders who have insight about the market but don't really understand code. How AlphaSheets is basically a modern spreadsheet that has the best of the flexibility of Excel and the power of modern analytics in one platform. So let's crack into it. This demo here is basically, it's a mock-up of a real production use case that one of our clients has, and that client is a large multinational credit risk company. And they're using AlphaSheets. They came to us because they had problems getting their concepts to production fast enough. So their issue was more people in their organization were using Python day by day. So people they were recruiting were using Python more. They hated VBA. They were seeing this push towards Python that's fairly representative, actually, of the financial industry. But the problem that they had was that as these people would use Python, the business leaders and managers wouldn't really understand the Python scripts. So there was this communication gap. And a lot of times during meetings, people wouldn't be able to really answer questions because the meetings would be based on static Excel reports that weren't connected to the Python analyses. So the moment someone's like, what happens if that number is negative? Or what happens if, Brexit didn't happen or something like that? Like, people just can't answer these questions. And the impact of that is that it takes 5 meetings to really test these ideas and validate them and make sure they're cool before they go to market. But that kind of slowdown is in the order of months. And that really does translate to like tens of millions of dollars of lost value, because if you had gotten your ideas to market faster, you would have beat your competitors even more. It's a very fast-paced world, if you will. So they came to us because we're kind of a bridge between the Excel world and the Python world. So let's see how AlphaSheets helps them solve their problem. So this first sheet over here, before I even get into it, I'll just let you look at the UI for a little bit and notice that it looks a lot like Excel or Google Sheets, but it's not Excel or Google Sheets. This is a spreadsheet that we've built from the ground up in 2 years, and it supports all of the usual spreadsheet functionality, like all of the Excel formulas and pivot tables and conditional formatting and all that good stuff. It's right here. But we have a lot of cool stuff up our sleeve as well that I'll get into. This first sheet over here just has the data that we're going to be using for this analysis. And what this analysis is basically, you have a lot of data about your customers. You want to have a predictive model that tells me, is a customer going to have a good credit score or a bad credit score? That's what this analysis is about. And a couple points I want to make about the data just going forward, because it's fairly important for any analysis, how you get the data, what the data represents, things like that. So this data set here, we got it by importing a CSV that they had into AlphaSheets. This is mock data, by the way. And that's one way to get data into AlphaSheets, but there's many ways actually to get data into AlphaSheets. You can connect directly to SQL, Hive, Teradata, Google Analytics, a bunch of different data sources with a bunch of button clicks. So it really does make it easy to get data into AlphaSheets. And the second thing I'll say is that this is a real-time data source. What that means is that if the underlying CSV updates or the underlying SQL updates or whatever it is, this table will refresh. And that's really cool because you can just make sure you always have real-time data. You don't have to worry about stale reports and things like that. And you can rest assured knowing that your analysis reflects the most recent data your company has. So this data set here also has a really cool property that it's kind of all grouped as one. That's kind of what the purple represents here. So in Excel, it's actually very easy to insert a column and break the whole thing. But AlphaSheets won't let you do things like that. This entire data set throughout this whole analysis I'm going to show you is going to be treated as one object. So already what you're seeing here, just in the data part of AlphaSheets, is transparency, because you know where the data is coming from, reliability, because you know that it's coming in a refreshed way, and also safety, because you know that you're not going to be able to break up the data source or screw it up with a formula that, or a macro that mutates it unnecessarily. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you here, this sheet over here is basically doing a funnel chart of the core AlphaSheets data. And it's going to load here in a second. And this is a funnel chart of different demographics that you see people care about in the credit risk space. So you have, in the credit risk space, you care about, if people are over 50 years old, I'm going to treat them in a different way. If they live in Nebraska, I think they're better people, things like that. So this sheet over here is basically talking about a bunch of different demographics and how large they are. The cool thing about this sheet is that it's basically an application. Like, I can go ahead over here and change this number to, say, 5,000. And what that means is, I'm going to get the number of people who have at least $5,000 in their savings. And the entire graph updates, and you'll see like a smaller number over here. This is like an interactive funnel chart over here. And basically, I get this cool application that I don't need to ask my developer or my statistician these questions and add that to their backlog and have them write a SQL query and get back to me. I can do it myself. And that's really cool. That speeds up the pipelines and really is a really interactive and nice way to play with the data. How does it work? Well, the funnel chart is generated using, as you can see here, a Python expression. And the Python expression is calling equals funnel. Now, what is that? You can press Alt-H over here to see all the functions that are used in this analysis. This is what a statistician or a developer would import from GitHub or on their own computers into AlphaSheets immediately. And now you can use them even if you don't know how to code, as if it was an Excel formula. So like, you're a superhuman basically. And this funnel function, what it does is it basically looks at the data and it figures out how many people are in each demographic, and then it plots that in this nice funnel chart. And a couple things I want to highlight here. One, just look at the transparency of all of this. In a bunch of other tools, you have no clue where the data come from or how you generated the numbers behind your dashboards. But here you're really seeing the functions that are doing it, and you're seeing the data that's doing it, which is really cool. The second is that this is powerful. Like, this is not a kind of chart you can make in Excel or in a lot of other BI tools easily. But with the power of Python and R, your developers and statisticians can give you that kind of functionality. So it's really cool. And basically, it helps combine the Excel world and the Python world all in one place so that you can iterate faster, learn about your data faster, and make decisions faster at the end of the day. And if your data updates, all of these things will update as well, because it's a spreadsheet, and that's what spreadsheets do. So the next sheet I'll show you here, it's similar to the previous one. It's basically a density map of where people have the highest amounts in their credit savings or loyalty or things like that. And I can change this to something like duration over here instead of amount, and it's going to update and tell me what state is the best by duration. And it turns out it's like South Dakota. This is like a nice interactive chart over here. And again, like the way this works, super transparent. It's via a function called map plot that you can see here that the developer has written. And basically, as soon as someone writes that, you as a business leader or you as a trader or anyone in the organization can play with that, can ask different questions and really interact as if you knew how to code. It's really bridging that gap between Excel and Python in a single platform, single source of truth, and delivering really cool exploratory analyses for you to play with. Okay. Now, the last sheet here is kind of the core part of what this company did, and I want to go through it with you and show you how cool it is really. So this firm was having more and more Python developers, and they wanted to use machine learning to kind of increase their competitive edge and really make better decisions. And every time they would do that, it wouldn't make any sense to the business leaders. It would take a long time to really answer all the questions. And like I said, you lose millions of dollars of value by prolonging that. So what this sheet here has is all the different parameters that go into my machine learning model. And I get to decide whether or not I'm going to use them in the model, because sometimes for regulatory reasons you can or can't or shouldn't, whatever it is. And you have a bunch of accuracy metrics over here as well, and a bunch of charts about how accurate I were, false positives, and things like that. And again, it's all in one place. So like, if I decide during a meeting that I don't want to include age in my model, thank you, I can just change that yes to a no over there, propagate that, and because it's a spreadsheet, it's going to update, and you see that the accuracy over here went up by 1% actually. So you can really start to play with things like that, and you don't have to know how to code, and it really brings together the best of the Python, the power of Python, into the flexibility of Excel, and has you create these interactive reports that are transparent, automated, and really are powerful and control the entire way your business makes decisions. So I hope that gives you a picture of what AlphaSheets is about, and happy holidays, and hope to see you again.